I use a washcloth instead of a washcloth. And although I have always said this, it is always a joke to the people around me. I can receive scholarships, excel at school, and polish my academic resume to a pristine and impressive compilation that is highly reflective of my intellect. But I will always be seen as that dumb Appalachian girl because of my dialect. Since moving to Lexington, I've experienced being interrupted mid-sentence to someone mocking what I had already said. They pull out their best Appalachian imitation and parrot my words back to me as though I don't understand that my dialect is easily recognizable. After bringing myself to the Liberal Arts College of Transylvania University, expecting acceptance and lack of judgment in what they pride themselves as an open-minded place, I quickly found that the joke of the Appalachian is still a socially acceptable joke. I came in contact with a variety of people that I like to call tourists, those who want to save the mountains but belittle the people from them as an unintelligent breed of hicks. All of my life, whenever I have ventured outside of my region of Kentucky, I have faced being stereotyped as unintelligent, almost savage, because of my dialect and birthplace. Is this the first time you've worn shoes? I can remember being asked by some kid from New York when I was visiting the D.C. area. I was 10 years old when that happened, and from that day I created a dichotomy in my head of us, Appalachian people, versus them, non-Appalachian people, or Flatlanders. Now, I use the term Flatlander in a non-offensive way. It is a parallel to the nickname hillbilly put on my Appalachian people. But from that point on, I grew to automatically become defensive towards people not from Kentucky. I assumed instantly, due to past experiences, that they would always point out and make fun of my accent, and from that make stereotypes and assumptions about me. I would always go to Ohio and be notified that I say butter and not butter. I expected that, really, I did. What I did not expect was to experience this same sort of prejudice in Kentucky. I ventured as the Appalachian immigrant to the bustling bluegrass city of Lexington, expecting to fit in nicely with my new home and surroundings, and I was sadly mistaken. From day one of my moving into the dorms of Borer Hall, I was stereotyped and made fun of for my accent. You know, sometimes I can't really understand you, a classmate told me one day. Visiting the families of my classmates was a trip too. Once I had informed a friend's family of where I was from, only later to hear his grandfather compare something to those dumb pill-popping hillbillies in southeastern Kentucky. One day, while sitting in a training session for an on-campus tutoring job, I heard a student ask, "You know, why should we try to focus so much on grammar with the international students when most of them speak better English than people from Appalachia?" He followed it by saying, his excuse, "Oh, it's okay. One of my fraternity brothers is from southeastern Kentucky." People wonder why I cringe a little when someone says they are a native of Lexington or Louisville, but it is only because of my past encounters with the majority of Flatlanders. The conversations are almost immediately halted, and I'm reminded that I speak in a different dialect, and I pronounce words in different ways. So I must be less intelligent than you, right? Most people from my experiences think that it is okay to judge people from my region. Oh, they won't help themselves. Why don't they just go to college? College. Formal education. That is what seems to be the scale of intelligence nowadays. Unless a person receives higher education, they are deemed stupid. When students from my area do make it to outside universities, though, we are seen as Appalachian unicorns, a sight truly to behold. This backwards, barefoot creature that crawled out of its rundown trailer and played the school system to hitch a ride to Lexington for a bachelor's degree. How did you ever make it out, people have asked me. Their perceptions of my home are negative, seeing it as an unprogressive wasteland only useful for hiking visits. And their perceptions of me are that I am some barefoot, dumb Appalachian girl who learned how to wear shoes and write an argumentative essay. In reality, I come from a strong, intelligent line of Appalachian people who taught me how to work with what I have. I was lucky enough to receive more opportunities for formal education than my parents and my grandparents. Despite their lack of over-glorified papers from overpriced schools, they were very intelligent people. They taught me things that you could not teach me in a school, and yet they too are just seen as dumb Appalachians. So dear social justice warriors, tapping away at your keyboards to fight for the corrective terms for all people, remove the joke of the Appalachian hillbilly from your repertoire of comedy. It is not funny. We get it, your perception of Appalachia is based solely off of the Beverly Hillbillies in the show Justified, but just because you sound like movie people, don't hate on me for the flavor that comes from my native pronunciations and the rhythm of my vernacular. It's really, honestly getting old. I will always use a washcloth, but don't ever think that I'm just some dumb Appalachian girl.